Well, the clock is ticking down to Donald Trump's set deadline for several tariffs on goods flowing from Canada to the U.S., which could wreak havoc on many sectors like the automotive industry. So joining us live once again this morning, Flavio Volpe, the president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, also part of Mayor Chow's Economic Action Team, also part of the Canada-U.S. Alliance, taking a look at these issues here. You're at every different level, Flavio. You're the right person to talk to about this. We understand Donald Trump is currently drawing up an executive order saying the tariffs are coming tomorrow. How does that hit you immediately?
Well, if those tariffs are coming on cars, what we learned in 2020 when the pandemic hit and in 2022 when the Ambassador Bridge was closed, you can't make the cars without all the parts.
Yeah.
So if you're making 6 or 7% and your customer with Jeep plant in Toledo, Ohio says you got to pay 25% surtax on what you're shipping, you're not going to ship. Mm-hmm. And if you don't ship it, there isn't an alternative. They can't go buy a crankshaft or seats at a Walmart. So the industry, like it did in those first two instances, will close within a week. And that's from Michigan, that's Ontario, Michigan, all the way down to Kentucky, Alabama, Tennessee. Donald
Trump seems to believe that he has some sort of magic alternative that he is going to be able to replace this, but none of this can be done so quickly. So with what you're saying, you know, that the industry will be shut down in a week, what does that mean to the economy? That's thousands of jobs. That's people, that's secondary, third, tertiary jobs. I mean, what's that going to do?
So when the Ambassador Bridge closed, that meant that in Canada, 100,000 or so people were on temporary layoff. And then all the way down through the U.S., big portions of 900,000 people who make cars and parts are on layoffs. Those people are in states that delivered the presidency. You can argue about the price of gas or the price of eggs, but when you're at home arguing about it, and wondering how you're going to pay for those eggs, it's a completely different conversation. So we're hearing governors, we're hearing Republican senators, we're seeing major editorials like the Wall Street Journal that says, if you're going to harm Michigan, this is the best way to do it.
It's fascinating, right? Because it seems like such a self-inflicted, like step on a rake or step on 100 rakes. Are you nervous? I mean, like, do you worry about what this means, or is this something that you believe we can overcome?
We've been prepared for this from day one. What he said during the election, and then what he said in November 25th, and we thought was going to happen on January 31st. So we're prepared. Now, in as much as you can be prepared for a punch that you know is coming to your face, the federal government has. I mean, the Prime Minister did a great job of communicating. We're going to hit him back with a package and then a wider dollar for dollar, 155 billion. We're hoping that that's a good deterrent. He stepped back from the brink last time. And in that last 30 days, a lot of people, like the global CEO of Ford said, you're going to blow a hole through the U.S. industry if you tariff Canada and Mexico. I'm hoping some of those voices have a little bit more carriage today with the people in the White House.
And of course, we mentioned in the introduction to you, Flavio, that you're sitting on the various different, provincial, municipal, federal committees, all looking at this, all looking at tackling this. How is the unpredictability of President Trump impacting this? Because you try to plan for one thing, something else happens. You try to plan for that, something else happens. It's like whack-a-mole.
We're all used to some certainties in life. And one of them is that the U.S. president and the Americans are a predictable arbiter of usually what is good and right. And usually profitability as well. You know, they're the world's greatest capitalists. No one has modeled that he would tank his own economy to make a point that no one has yet figured out. So when you're at the municipal level, you sit there and say, like the city of Toronto, Mayor Chow said, hey, look, let's put together a team with people that care about the city and that have some carriage, both on the industrial side and the labor side, and say, okay, how are people going to get affected? What can we do from our procurement budget? What can we do to set a moral imperative that helps the premier focus, that helps the prime minister or next week's prime minister focus? We saw the mayor of Brampton, but I spent last week talking to probably 45 mayors across the country and their councils and saying, okay, you have a budget. You also have programs that can help people if we end up in a tariff zone and recession. We can't have too many voices or too much action on this. We've never seen this before. Somebody's going to have a crack idea or do the right thing. And all these elected officials all have counterparts in the States. So we listed out 172 factories owned by Canadian part suppliers in the U.S. states. We've reached out to their congressional reps, Republicans and Democrats, and to their mayors. And we've got a bunch of mayors and councilors who have signed up to do the same thing. Speak mayor to mayor and say, that plant's closing in your city.
When do you sleep?
Never.
I didn't think so. Flavio, appreciate you coming in this morning. Thank you so much.